started.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Continuous and Never-Ending Improvement. Happy as always for you guys to join us. But I'm Jake Shortfigure, joined as always by Mr. Jalen Phillips, Miss Samantha White, and Miss Olivia White. But yeah, we're gonna talk about something really powerful today. Hopefully impact a lot of lives in a positive way. But just to kind of rip the Band-Aid off, topic is valuing and encouraging just one another. I believe it was actually just a quote came to mind to kind of share. I think it was Abe Lincoln's mother's last words are "Be kind to one another." I think I read that in a book about her life in Washington, D.C. But look it up. Don't take my word for it. But with that though, yeah, also just talking about how we feel with no expectations of how others should feel about it. Also throw that in there a little bit. But with that, just question I want to throw out there to whoever wants to take it. But what's one thing that makes you feel valued? And the other side of the coin, what's one thing that you do to try to make others feel valued?
So, yeah.
Who does it?
Oh, me? No, I'm kidding. I like to try to be different. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that, but that's like, and right now I'm answering the latter half of it, like how do I make other people feel valued? I really just try to be different and try to like really make it seem like I'm putting a spotlight on them and like just, cause I want it to seem like I'm really someone there for them and like I'm actually taking the time to like just see you as a human and value you as such and whatnot. And I think that's important. I think we live in a world where we don't get that too much. So I try to always slow down and do that. And yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. Getting caught up in the hustle and bustle. And my friend Zach used to always say, everybody's got an agenda. You know what I mean? He always say, everyone's got an agenda. He always just thought everyone's out to get their own thing, which they are. You know what I mean? I think that's why, to your point, it's important to put aside our own things and just realize, okay, you know, like you always used to say, some people are our passion. You know what I mean? It's not. In old podcasts, we used to do people love passion, but sorry not to take it back.
I think for me, like something that makes me feel so valued is when someone asks me to do something that I feel like it's like one of my skills. Like I really like writing and like doing the boards, so I feel like very valued when people are like, hey, can you do this? You're really good at it. Like it makes me feel important to them. And then on the flip side of it, I think I do like the same with other people. If I'm not necessarily that good at something, like I like to make sure that I know their strengths and like I value them so much because I'm not necessarily good at it. But also just encouraging words that mean something. It's a lot different than telling someone you're great versus actually pointing out their skills and talents and like encouraging them and respecting them on that level.
Yeah, that's a good point because like I was thinking like almost a little too complex in a sense of like I feel valued when I can like see the impact I have showing up for people like in the day to day. But like if I were to ask like, well, how do I see that? It would be like you said, like people, you know, asking for help or seeking advice about a particular area that, you know, I add value to. And there's a lot of different ways that can come through, but that's like one that you can see and it's really tangible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point just in terms of people's comfortability to come to us with things. I think determines how well the other thing I wrote down from what you shared was just highlighting others' strengths, I think is important. And to tie it into a real life thing, I think that just goes back to, again, where we could have been better, you know, not to put the T out there, but just in terms of making one another feel valued, you know what I mean? Just, again, going back to like kind of talking how we feel without expectations of how others should feel about it, just really making sure that, kind of lost my train of thought again, we know how that goes, but how did I want to connect it there? Making sure we highlight others' strengths to that. That there's always validations to how someone feels. You know what I mean? That's what I was looking for. But yeah, it's never like, well, you shouldn't feel that way. And you know, I apologize if I came off that way. But it's just there's always a real reason for people feel that, and to just look at always our aspect of what is that rather than doing that. And I think I say that to say I could highlight people to answer my own question in the beginning. Highlighting other strengths is something I could do a lot better. And I think one thing that makes me feel valued is just that. So it's weird that I don't do it as well. Obviously when people call you out or give you just confirmation, things like that. But one thing I do try to do to make others feel valued is just like you said, just try to be as real as possible with them, it might seem rough a lot of times, I'm sure, but I try not to sugarcoat anything, because I don't think that really, I don't want people to sugarcoat stuff for me and just prolong the healing process there. But yeah, that was one thing I'm glad I found that, what I was looking for in terms of the validation.
And then another thing I would say though that, and I guess I never answered the first question, completely forgot, but something that I agree with everything you guys are saying, but something else I would add that makes me feel value is just almost remembering where I came from and who I am, if that makes sense, and not necessarily the me overcoming any obstacles or anything like that, but really just realizing hey, I put my pants on just like X, Y, and Z's, and realizing yeah, we all do different things, but I finally, and I understand not everybody is necessarily has the same mindset as I do, but what I'm getting at is money's not everything, you know what I'm saying? And I feel that's where most of the world runs to, the higher the money, the more power, yada yada yada. But for me to now get off of that, and realize we're all not the same, but we're all human, you know what I'm saying? We're all on this earth for a purpose. It just helps me to feel valued. But the challenging part is, I guess, always just realizing that and thinking about that. Because as you were talking, I was thinking about a lot of yesterday, and because I'm what would actually make me be valued? And then I ask, well, who validates me? You know what I'm saying? And then I'm I know who validates me. That's a dumb question. And then I realized quick, it was oh, well, I was actually being very selfish. And you called me out, and I didn't want to hear it. That's why I was ready to just get to the conversation, but just I was complaining, and complaining is one of the big deadly sins, that, and it's hard to explain, but just I don't know, I was so caught up into it. All I wanted was almost to have you guys feel how I was feeling, which is sort of wrong because I wasn't feeling good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, what I wrote down was just the well-being and money, because I think it goes back to kind of what we were talking about earlier in terms of just, we were talking about things just kind of taking rent in our head, and just things occupying that time in our mind. But I think it goes back to money, people, because I wrote well-being over money, I think a lot of times in this world, the world will tell you that, well, yeah, but if you got enough money, your well-being will be good, and that's not the case. People with a lot of money, will tell you that it's not the case, and you should take their word for it. But it's really just that is what do you put first? Other people's well-being and making sure that my well-being's good to look after them, or just are we pushing and going circling back to everyone's got an agenda? Do we let that agenda of again, building a company and what it'll be good for people, it'll do a lot of good, and that might be our intention, but as Pastor Ben told us that one time, it's like a hose, you could have the direction, you have the intentions of getting to the right place, but you make a wrong turn and you don't end up there. So yeah, I think that's just where it's what is the like you said, what validates me, what's really above all, and that goes back to put God first. Why you have to have that, it just keeps the truth and our well-beings aligned, and not to let money rule us.
Yeah, you guys talking made me think of something to take a deeper look at this. Is I think our environment and our experiences have a big role in what we consider our baseline for validation. And I like talking about this because I think it just factors so much into who we are as an adult in terms of were you the firstborn or middle child, or did you have both parents present? I guess for me, how I feel valued is when people show up. That's why this team's so important to me, is these are the last standing people through the thick and thin, and you guys show up for me. So I feel me just showing up for you guys is enough, but sometimes that's not the case because like you might have a different baseline of what you consider feeling valued because maybe people did show up for you growing up but they didn't say it. So maybe words of affirmation is something that's important where it's like all of our baselines are different based upon what we experience. So I'm kind of curious based on your like childhood and upbringing, like what you guys think for you like your natural default is in terms of how you feel about value.
I think mine actually is a lot of words of affirmation just from, I mean, obviously you're my older sister, you are very smart, you're on honor roll, so it was just like set in stone that was my expectation. And it felt like growing up, like even when I had straight A's and was doing good, it was just like, okay, on to the next quarter, and like, no, good job. It was just, you could do better, and there was never really any like words of affirmation. It was just like, okay, well, do better next time. So I think even just like the small wins, people congratulating me and like telling me how much they value means a lot to me rather than just like, okay, you got a sale, go get more. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I can identify with that because here's like, I always, sometimes when I think back, I was like, man, you could have did this, could have did that. And then I think like, man, I wish I had some better coaching, you know what I mean? And like, it just, and then it makes me think of like, I want to get into coaching and just do a little better. And I don't know, yeah, just in terms of, but how I feel about value to answer the question is just growing up, I guess, my sister is a great person. I mean, she's knew what she wanted to do since as early as I can remember. I mean, as early as I can remember, she had me, we were playing school. I was playing student, and then I never wanted to be a student because I was like, I should have graduated like 6 years ago. I actually had been in school for all before kindergarten, but to that point too, like it gave me this, or I felt, at least, it wasn't the truth obviously, but I felt like I had to carve my own path to add value. I couldn't beat her at her own game with us. It's not her own game, it's just the game of life and learning how to be a student, not necessarily even in school, but just a student to life and or a teacher, you know what I mean? But to that point, yeah, I think that's a lot of what led me down that road. Not her being great at that, but just me thinking like, I gotta find this identity and constructing this character or something that I thought would bring, and again, it goes back to the intention of what you think, you know, you have good intentions to like, and maybe it did work out to where, you know, I mean, and I wanted to say that too, shout out to Sam. I mean, I'm an alcoholic with 3 DUIs. Like, she shows up. Like, this is who picked me up from the 3rd DUI, so I didn't have to spend a night in jail. Like, but I say that to say, yeah, like, I don't know, I thought I was making this character that I had this intention to do good and like, in terms of music and just all kinds of different things. But it just goes back to like, I saw the other day, like, he used their mess for a message. So like, again, it's not what I stumbled into it, you know, it's not what I thought it was, but it's the vision and the intention of his plan was there. It's just kind of like, you got to go through this. You're not going to know what it is. It might feel like a dream. You're going to stumble through it, but when you get through, it'll make sense when you get there on why you had to go through those trials and things, and it maybe go through them again to handle them with the grace, you know, until you got to that point to where it wasn't just like, yeah, I mean, you just kind of white-knuckled it, you know, and just gripped it and got through, but it was just like, no, there's something different there, you know, to really be a testimony. But, so yeah, I guess how I felt about value is I thought I had to manufacture it, and that wasn't the case.
Yeah, that's a cool point, because I think like sibling order does play a large part in like what this looks like sometimes, because it's like, I feel like the first kid, it's like they're doing the first, so they're like, oh my god, you're doing this, and then like any child after that kind of gets compared to like the first, or like you said, it's almost like expected. And then it's like, then, oh, I want to carve my own path, or like, I want to hear it. They heard it, why can't I hear it? And I don't know, I think that's kind of funny. It definitely molds our idea of what we think we should have.
Yeah, coming from my family, having a twin sister, older brother, adopting Rodney, my younger cousin, but, well, my younger cousin's not my younger cousin, but it's crazy, and I could because I was thinking about I could take you through stories and stories, but like for me, value, it's earned. I came from a place where like I felt like I had to earn it, and really it's just because, you know, blue collar family, working, and like just to see where my granny's at, and then how my mom and all of them got to where they got to, and like how, you know, just working hard, and like they made it clear like life's not fair, you know what I'm saying? So like just coming up from that to like now, like, okay, so showing up is not enough. I gotta literally be different. I literally gotta put in, I gotta be this. You guys know I am in the office and my like go. But like literally I feel like I have to earn value, and like it's a bad place to be because, as you guys know, it gets to a place where like it's never enough, and the ceiling is just always getting raised. And yeah, but that's for me how I view value, honestly, is just like, yeah, I feel like for some reason I've got to really earn it. And that's why, you know, because we're so small now and we're so stagnant, and God has us waiting, you know, and like that's why you can see the Spirit was playing yesterday. I don't want to get into it, I think we already did, but just like that's why I didn't feel valued yesterday, you know, LOL. But interesting, it's so crazy to think, like, because that makes sense, being an only child, and then
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the more like you try to, it's almost like you just, I don't know, you might have already said it, but just having the good intention and trying to control it and thinking that like, well, I'm having value, like I think I'm doing what's best for myself and everybody, and like you have that intention, but it's like all we really have to do is just surrender to being led and trusting where we're at, and just immediate reactions is what comes to mind, not, you know, planning out, well, like hopefully I can move in this way here or do this here, and just, I don't know, turn the tape on and let's see what we get, you know, and just kind of let it roll. And
it's crazy to think, because just how seasons, you know, can just transform your idea of being valued, because like I was thinking, like, you know, just what is value to me, and then when I got to like just football, right, like I showed up, I worked hard, and like it's crazy because like working hard, you know, if you work hard, it doesn't always necessarily equate to, you know, just instant production is what I'm getting at, you know, and instant just results. And that's just something that was new to me, and that's why it is that I feel like I have to be different and go the extra mile and yada yada, because like that's in football what I had to do to essentially show out and get an opportunity, you know what I'm saying? So like it transformed from just like working hard is enough to be valued to now you got to work hard and you got to be different. Now you're valued, and that's what I'm saying. It's always, well, now you got to do this, that, and you know what I'm saying. And it's definitely a $1 million idea and topic we're discussing.
I was just thinking while you were talking, it just made me think of history repeats itself, and basically just like the enemy typically gets the first. He had me in the first half. That's why I kind of chuckled. I was like, yeah, he had me in the first half there, but that fourth quarter is important. You know what I mean?
That's how you finish it.
I think for value too, something that's huge for me is just like knowing that the people you value would do the same for you. I'm not expecting them to do the same, but like my best friend Alyssa growing up, like she would do anything for me, and vice versa. Like, you know those friends where like you go out to lunch and you're like, I got this one, because you're not worried, you know next time they're gonna get you back. But on the flip side, you also have those friends that just drain and take from you, and it's like, I value you so much, and you just are like taking everything I got and not even considering how I feel. So it's like I said, I'm not expecting anything from anyone, but at least just having this knowing of like they would give me the shirt off their back and I would do the same for them.
It's funny that you said that, because I was talking to my friend Maria the other day, and she had a name for it. She was like, those are our cactus friends. You don't have to water them, and you can just come back and like they're there. You don't have to like nurture and water and plant them. They're just your cactus friends.
That's so
Ain't that the truth?
That's funny.
But yeah, I just thought that was a cool name for it, because like, oh, those are like those really special like relationships where it's like you just go back, it's like you never left, and they would do the same for you, and it's cool.
Yeah, that's a great point, honestly. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that.
I'm just weak because you said they'll prick you, prick you. It's not true,
They can.
you know?
Yeah, they'll call you out,
Yeah,
challenge
that's
you.
all.
They know you.
Because they know you better than
Yeah,
anyone.
like that's what you talked about that before too. Is when you haven't seen them in a while and you go around, it could be like grabbing a cactus. You're like, oh, yeah, who am I? You know? Not in a bad way, but just like
Check
it's
it.
your wake up call.
Yeah, they're the ones that make you think. You're like, oh.
Yeah. With that though, I mean, I just had down really simply. I mean, something. What encourages you, and how do you encourage the other? I don't know if we kind of touched on that or not, but.
It's difficult for me because I think like the whole thing of like you take for granted the people closest to you, or you're harder on the people closest to you because you see them every day and it's almost an expectation. So I struggle with encouraging the people closest because I'm just like, oh, they'll be there and I'm there for them, and you just kind of feel like there's that natural like baseline where I think, oh, you guys are like cactus people, I don't really gotta water you, but like that doesn't mean that it's not necessary. So like words of affirmation are tough. I know that's something we talk about. Like I feel like I'm always trying to push you instead of like find the moments to be like, oh, you did a great job, or it's hard. I think, I don't know what other ways, I'm curious what you guys think there are other than just words of affirmation, because that's one that just doesn't come as natural, especially the people closest to me.
For me, it's hard. It's hard because initially I was going to say the environment. You know, I feel like the environment really can. The reason I say that is because that's what takes me in and out, point blank. Like I will fight hard for the environment, but at the same time I will lose the fight for the environment, and like that's the best way to put it. And
What do you mean by that environment?
just like how things are. I don't know. Just like how a working environment is, and like I don't know. Can I
Oh,
phone a
like
friend
the
here?
like syncrasy, or like, you know what I'm saying, like the
I'm
flow.
sorry, I was writing something down, so I missed it. I'm sorry.
You're good. I'm just talking about like, I don't know. Best way I can describe it, the environment. The first time around with Pittsburgh, I was here and ready to go, and like wanted to die for things, and like nothing would stop my work ethic. And this time around, love the people more than I loved them back then, but the environment is different, and I don't feel the same. Want to go out and get the job done. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, sorry. It just makes me think of that quote that was like, success is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm.
Yeah.
But that's also a lot easier said than done, because like things look differently. So, you know, your idea of success changes, but like that enthusiasm still has to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to that point, I think like something that's huge for me besides words of affirmation is just like opportunity and vision, because it's really
Mhm.
hard to feel encouraged when you're just like running down like a blank path rather than when you're running towards something. And I think that's where we get lost sometimes, especially all of us for being here for a while, but kind of redirecting your route and redirecting the end goal definitely helps encourage me, because same thing even like in like the sales, or even when you're trying to like set someone, when you have like in the back of your mind like this is for a bigger purpose, this isn't for to get to tomorrow, you feel way more encouraged to get the job done.
Amen.
Yeah, I mean, even just to piggyback off that, when you just have like, I just hope I can make this person's day, you know, without setting the appointment and like, you know, giving them great windows or whatever it might be. I mean, I think it just goes way, the whole interaction goes better just from that. And like we talked about earlier, trying to plan like, well, if it goes this way, I'll do this. It's just, I'm just gonna have a smile and try to make them smile, you know. But to that too, I just wrote down like, not in our own strength. I mean, I think it's, again, I believe in his plan, you know, and I think it's like, because I get that, you know, I mean, I was there too. I had that work ethic. We had the results that we were working for, and that it flipped to where like we had the work ethic, we didn't get the results that we were working for. So it's almost just like, again, not in our own strength. It's like, yeah, look what you guys did on your own strength there, but it's like, then look how hard you work. Now let's find that balance of really caring about people, doing his will, not ours, and just working faithfully still in the meantime, but not having like that work ethic of like I can achieve all my dreams if I just show up and work hard every single day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But just like a reminder to, you can do that and then go through seasons of, okay, I'm just working super hard to where it works for a year and then it doesn't for 2, and then it works for a year and then it doesn't for 3. You know what I mean? Or whatever it may be. But yeah, another thing that I thought about too was just, even before that was kind of in terms of he's pushing me, not punishing me, but like when we do it to each other, like how do we recognize when pushing turns to punishing and it's not, you know what I mean? And we gotta find, because I thought it was important that you brought up like the balance of it. It does always tend to happen more with the people closest to us because we let our guards down for one, they see more intimate sides of us, and then we just worry more and want that immediate, feel more comfortable giving an immediate response, and rather than just being like, I don't know how to explain it really, but yeah, when do we just realize, how do we recognize when that pushing turns to punishing, and to get back to that balance of giving them words of encouragement and be like, hey, we're in this together. Or does it take just speaking up like we were talking about again, and talking about how it's really making us feel, and not trying to put on that front, be like, yeah, I'm ready to go, guys, you know, and just be like, hey, I'm not ready to go, guys. This is why. Yeah.
For me, I feel like it's that. I feel like it's speaking up, because like you guys know, I try to take a lot on, and like I just want to hear the feedback, and like I know I'm wrong a lot of times. I really do. I know, because I just am all over the place. But that's obviously where I have trouble. I'm sure you guys have witnessed it. It's hard for me to actually speak up and tell you guys like, hey, it's too much. But that's the biggest thing I can say, because there's been times where I could literally probably take you back and be like, oh, if I would have just told so and so right here, like, hey, I'm still feeling like this, or I feel this way, or X, Y, and Z, I wouldn't have blown up 3 hours later. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think to that point too, just the words of encouragement, hopefully, is, I mean, that's what first thought wrong is. You know what I mean? I am wrong. Like, first thought is me, I'm wrong. You know what I mean? Second thought is him. Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's something just important to recognize in us, and why that's a thing in terms of first thought wrong, is just in our own fleshy, left to our own devices, and whatever it looks like in our own personalities, like, we're typically wrong.
That's so tough.
All of us, we're all in that same boat.
I'm very curious, and I want to hear your guys' answer before we divulge into this, but just like, what's the difference between like almost a thought and like a hunch? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you guys ever feel like there's like a hunch to do something, like God gives you a hunch to do it, and like you gotta essentially act now, or you don't, you know what I'm saying? And like,
I don't know, I think it's,
well, that's just the thing I was thinking, sorry.
I don't know, what do you guys have a thought on
I don't know, it's tough. Sometimes I feel like it depends on I don't know. I feel maybe more with like relationships or friendships. Like sometimes I like get a hunch, like I really need to reach out to that person. I don't know if they're doing okay. Sometimes it's just a thought, and I'm like, oh, I haven't talked to them in a while. I don't know, it's tricky.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head though. I think it is circumstantial.
Yeah.
I think it definitely is.
Yeah, I think you did hit the nail on the head, because I think it made it make sense for me, at least in terms of like what's the difference between an urge and a craving. You know what I mean? And in terms of recovery, like an urge can almost be thought off of feelings, like, oh, I can't shake this feeling. A hunch is like, I don't know, I'm not kind of sure, you know. And a feeling's like just deeper rooted. It's like, I don't know, no matter what I do in this, I can't shake this feeling. You know, I feel like you can get distracted from a hunch and be like, forget about it, kind of, but a feeling's like just rooted. Almost, I don't know, hard to explain, but that's what I think of. It's just, it made me think of what's the difference between an urge and a craving, like a hunch and a feeling. Because again, an urge is like I still get them, like I kind of want to drink, you know, or a drink here would be nice, but a craving's like, I need a drink, like this isn't gonna stop till I get a drink. And you can fight, it's easier to fight that urge off. I think it's like 15 minutes or something if you like don't do anything. They say it goes away, but
Not to go back to the pushing and punishment, but I just had like a thought when we were talking about it. Something that Alex used to always say to me Which is crazy because you guys know who Alex is. Like, she is very positive but very harsh at the same time. But whenever I would get mad over little stuff, like, I'd be like, they said it's because what I was wearing that I didn't get a sale. And she'd be like, okay, well, if you had 8 sales this month, would it really be ruining your day? Or is it ruining your day because you're having a slow month? And I'm like, and she's like, you're focused on the wrong thing. And it would always kind of redirect me, like, and it just makes me think when I get mad at the little stuff, I'm like, this is within me. Like, I'm mad and I'm letting it ruin my day because I'm not where I want to be. Because if I'm having an outstanding month and I'm confident and I'm doing the thing, like, someone could tell me anything and I'd be like, okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely puts you in a different perspective.
Yeah, like sometimes it feels like punishment because you're punishing yourself every day because you're like, oh, I suck, I'm not doing the thing, like.
Yeah, or definitely, at least I'm hard on myself.
Oh,
that
me
way,
too.
Yeah.
I also was thinking, like, in terms of if you aren't feeling valued in the way that you want value or seeking value, it goes back to the old, like, you get what you give, like, show don't tell. At the end of the day, if you want more words of encouragement, the best way to snap yourself out of it is to give it to someone, and most likely it will be returned. If not, then like maybe there's a disconnect there in general. But I think like that's really important, is like if I want someone, I feel like someone could show up for me better. Sometimes instead of telling them, I'll go out of my way to like show up for them in a way that I haven't in a while. And then obviously I hope that it would be reciprocated, but I mean, you just do it with a pure heart and see what comes back to you.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was actually thinking about this morning, just like something I heard last night was, I just want to give away. I want to give away like what I've been given, and it just made me think of something can only be given away if it's received. But we can offer and it not be received to those. So I think it's important I say that to say just to not get caught in I want to give it to where I'm open to offering whatever to whoever, and hopefully someone will receive it and then it'll be given. But if I get so again focused on I just want to give it and not, well, I'm just happy to offer it, it's kind of like a revelation I had this morning.
Weirdest thing, this is a little off topic, but you using the word offer made me think of this. It might not even relate at all, but I was watching this mom on TikTok like describe what she was feeding her kids for the day, and she kept saying like, for lunch I'm offering them carrots with this, and she just kept using the word offer, and it like clicked in my brain though that I was like, wow, that's a really cool like parenting word to use, to be like, I'm offering them these choices to eat today, instead of like, oh, I'm just giving them their food, like, it just has a different like connotation to it, where it's just like, it's kind of empowering,
Yeah.
That's so smart though to even think of that, because even in the workplace there's people that have come in here and I'm like, I'm giving you an opportunity, why aren't you taking it? No, I'm offering you an opportunity, it's up to you, you want it or you don't. Like, and just switching that word could definitely help our feelings and emotions a lot more.
Yeah, I mean that just makes me think too of switching that word does, because I mean obviously words are powerful and that helps just change, if not by using that word changed our thinking and renewed our mind to everybody has a choice. I can't just, here, take it. Like, you don't have a choice. It's no, here's the choice I can give you. If you don't like it, I'm sure there's plenty of choices out there. The world's filled with them, you know what I mean? But yeah, just having that like, this is what I can offer. I'm happy to offer. I'm happy to do whatever we can to make it work, for you. But
it's such a powerful metaphor too, though, because like throughout the video she'd be like, for lunch I offered them this, and as you can see they didn't really eat that much of it, but she wasn't mad because she went in with the like, and it's the same way if I'm offering an opportunity and someone doesn't take it. Well, I said I was offering, I didn't say like I'm giving them an opportunity for them to take. And it just kind of puts your heart in a different disposition when someone does say no or doesn't grab a hold of it. You're like, oh, next time when I offer it, they might take it. For dinner, I offered them this and they ate it all up. And it's just like, you have so many chances when you're offering versus like,
Take it it or don't.
Yeah, take it or leave it. You don't eat dinner here.
I'm starving.
Yeah, I think it takes the like taking it personally out of it.
Mhm.
You know how hard I work to put that food on your plate? It's just like, and then also to the other side of like, they ate it all, I did good. Like, you know what I mean? That's what they're gonna eat. I'm gonna feed them that every time. It's just like, yeah, I offered them this. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Just because for that's what we hear, but like, you know, there's something deeper in her that got her to that point
Oh,
of
yeah.
like, I'm intentionally using this word. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
More than just like, well, I'm gonna try all these different things like airplane to, you know,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get them to eat whatever I'm giving them. It's,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just gonna put it there. I'm gonna offer it, and if they don't eat it, we'll try something new later.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
like
it's
at a
huge.
young age you can learn,
Yeah.
like, I do have a choice.
Mhm.
Like, I do have a say in this in a way.
Yeah.
But then would we be teaching our children to be too soft?
Oh, I mean.
I think there's ways to redirect it, but I also think you're also telling them you don't have to do something just because it's sat in
Yeah.
front of you.
There will be teachable moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Listen, this is what we got now. Like, you don't. Might not eat for a few days. This is what we got.
I'm offering you this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's definitely
Yes,
a
right.
gentle parenting technique,
Yeah.
but it has its benefits.
I think it opens them just to realizing in life like it's a blessing to have, you know, they'll realize that. I don't know. Lost in words for it, honestly. I think it's just like you said, a very powerful and small impactful thing that you can do for just parenting
Mhm.
people in general to take your mindset.
I'll start offering my kids choices when they're 18. I think that's a fair age to do it.
Wow.
Glad we got to there.
That's wild. My house, my rules.
Right?
That's wild. But it is funny though, not to stay on it, but I just remember hearing like years ago, maybe like 6-7 years ago now, that like giving them like, I can give you this or this, and like giving them a choice between two things, you know what I mean? But just putting the word, like you said, words matter, you know, so
Mhm.
putting the word offering there and not just like, which do you want? Because then what if they don't take either?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my.
But it also, like, in terms of going back to the main topic of value, it's like shows that you value their opinion, like, cause I'm offering you some choices and like you, whatever you choose, like, I'm just showing you your choice has value, not just like, you're gonna do what I say.
And it helps them to honestly even though I'm still gonna wait till they're 18 to understand value. Because real time scenario for you guys, I remember my mom works with Ford. She always said if we didn't get a Ford, we couldn't drive. We wouldn't have a car at all, right? And like, so I hated Ford, don't like it all, but I got a Ford to drive, right? Fast forward to today, I say like, I would love to have a Ford right now. Back then I didn't want one at all. Didn't at all. I had to get the 03 Taurus. I was looking good, and y'all know how it goes. But no, long story short, I hated it, but it's so funny because, like, yeah, just like, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word where you're just like, you're happy about things? What's the freaking word? My gratitude, my level of gratitude. Back then was just so far to where now it's like actually high to where you give me that 03 Ford Taurus, you know, chip paint and all, I'm gonna be riding in it like, shoot, like I'm Patrick Mahomes, you know what I'm saying? That is the worst analogy I could have used ever. Just for some reason we were talking about
Jeff Gordon.
like Jeff Gordon. I appreciate that. But yeah, that's thanks mom. That's what I want to say. Thank you. Shout out.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I think it's important for what we do as well. I feel like we're just still on this, but like it's so smart. Like, even going to the door instead of being like, no one's grasping what I have to give. Like, no, I'm just gonna go to this neighborhood, offer it to a couple people, someone will want it. Even in the home, like, why aren't you buying anything? Like, no, presented you with a good offer, take it or leave it. Like,
Yeah, it's like I'm not selling you anything, I'm just offering
Yeah.
you an opportunity.
Get out up the road.
But yeah, I think any last closing thoughts or any new segments, anything
Yeah.
interesting?
Maybe we encourage. We do an encouraging bit, and this time around, I encourage the people watching. Thank you, God. Like us on Facebook, Continuous and Never Ending Improvement Podcast. You'll see us there. Check out the sweet logo. Twitter, CanIPod 938291. We'll get somebody to get that into the comments. Or X. I'm sorry, I'm old. TikTok at CanI2303. Jordan and at 3. And then feel free to email us any questions.
What's the email?
Oh, canithepod@gmail.com.
We'll work on that. I think we'll start doing that together at the end. But yeah, I mean, I think just to bring it back to positive, just be kind to one another today. Let's do our best, give each other grace. We want grace, right? So let's give it out to receive it. But yeah, thanks again for joining us today. Leave us some comments, like he was saying. Let us some fresh topics, whatever you guys want to hear us talk about, instead of us talking about what we got going on. But have a blessed day.